Sean.
Yeah, how are you?
What's up, man? Steve.
Nice to meet you.
This is Mark.
What's going on, man?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So yeah, we called you earlier on the phone, spoke about the Ferrari F12 that we're building.
Yeah.
And wanted to stop by the facility, check out kind of what you do, and maybe you can give us a bit of an education and feedback on your kind of feeling on where we should take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on back. We'll talk about it.
Cool.
This is our Perfect Monte kit that'll be going on that white car. This is all done in-house, titanium.
Oh, really? All in-house, yeah?
Yep.
Wow. Beautiful. I'm a bit of a V10 fan actually myself. I race a Viper.
Oh, nice.
Twin turbo. It makes on 16 pounds like 1,300 horsepower.
Nice.
It can make like 1850 or so, but
Seems
there
like a bit
just
much for
becomes a
drifting.
point. Yeah, it becomes a point where you're making too much. So
Yeah.
So,
You
yeah,
want some
so-
sort of traction. The main thing I think you're gonna have a problem with is just fueling on the factory ECUs.
we've been over and back with the owner of this about the carbon 13.5 to 1, and we think we should be lowering the compression of the car, but he wants to try it out like this first and kind of see kind of what happens. So
It's gonna have zero lag.
it's gonna have no lag. I've told him that.
Thomas would be the one to answer that question. Thomas, you wanna come over here? Huh?
Not really.
Thomas is our lead tech here at Dallas Performance. He's the one that can tell you all the specifics on everything.
So I was actually just asking Sean, you guys do a lot of this obviously, and what's kind of your typical target number for compression ratio on a motor that's going to be street driven?
I mean, you can normally keep it around your factory compression ratio. Your rods and pistons and stuff are going to do the work, so
Yeah.
you can normally leave it around there.
So we're building a Twin Turbo F12, which I believe from the factory they're 13.5 to 1.
Yeah.
So we're
on a NA specific, like the Ferraris like to run a higher compression ratio, and they just don't run as much boost basically.
Yeah.
Because like our 458 Italias, when we twin turbo those, we run 6 pounds and make 660.
Yep.
So relatively, 10.5, 9.5 to 1 is what you idea for it.
Yeah, that's kind of the
Yeah.
same. And numbers I'm at, like I have a Viper as well, and we have a 10.5 to 1, but we also run on ethanol as well, so
Right.
we have
Yeah, so-
a huge amount of scope and what we
Right.
can do with it. But this car is going to be daily driven, I suppose is a good way to say it. And we're just trying to get some feedback off people who have experience in the industry, obviously like yourselves, with guys who make big amounts of horsepower on the street, and see kind of what you think, and hopefully get it up on your dyno and see what we can do with it.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have to make a whole lot of boost with that compression.
So
Yeah.
our kind of estimate from myself and Aaron, now our very little experience in the tuning aspect of things, but just from being around race cars and stuff, is we're thinking like 4 to 5 pounds is kind of going to be the tops of where we're going to be at. And we're even curious if we're going to have to run additional ejectors above valve or whatever. Is that something that you kind of
I think
typically
that
do?
if you do that, you're gonna end up going Motec or standalone
Yeah,
ECU
you're
of
gonna
some
have to
sort.
do something for add-on fuel.
Yeah.
But if you're, not shooting for the moon, your factory, they normally overfuel them a little bit from factory.
Yep.
So you can get away with a little bit, but
Yeah, we
maybe
kinda-
a step-up switch on the fuel pump or something.
We figured there's probably a decent amount of scope and duty cycle on the injector from the
Right.
factory, because everything kind of runs like 70%
Yep.
of what it's
60
really
to 70.
capable of. Yeah.
Right.
So we figured there was a bit of scope there, but we didn't know if we're going to have to still run airflow meter or if we can go map to answer. Obviously, if we can go to map, having the exposed turbo is going to be more aesthetically pleasing than.
Like factory, if you want to say factory, you're just gonna have to please the factory computer. You're gonna
Yep.
be at that's mercy.
Yep.
But if you wanted to go standalone or something like that, you can go speed density, you can do map, you
Yep.
can do whatever you wanted to. So
And is that something you have experience with? Is doing standalone on a V12 Ferrari?
No, not on a Ferrari. I mean, we do it on Lamborghinis every day.
They're all only piston and rods and
Yeah,
four-stroke motors. They do the same thing.
wiring harnesses. Oh, that's gonna be a
No, I know,
nightmare.
it's totally different. But
Yeah.
yeah, just the way they're set up, you have to basically just please the stock computer, see
Yep.
what you can get away with.
Yep.
So
the pain on doing a standalone is going to be getting the things like your radio to work and your air conditioning. And
To be honest,
Yeah, they integrate everything.
and I'm going to speak for Damon in this. I don't really care if his radio works. It's not me driving it, so.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we're trying to keep it as user friendly as possible. I've spoken with him already about say stage 2 of the evolution of this car, what it's going to be, and it's probably going to get a little bit more crazy than this. This is his way of feeling out if he wants something that's actually nuts or whatever, you know. So
Yeah, and I mean, you have different options. Like, this is the fastest e-gear car in the world right now, a factory e-gear.
fastest in the world.
Yeah, and it has a Motec piggyback system on it.
Really, yeah.
So that way it controls the fueling. So it's pretty much probably what you're going to have to do minimum on
Yep.
an F12. But that one's not a full standalone. It's factory ECUs and Motec piggyback.
And is it like, are you kind of hard set on basically everything that you do is Motec? Is that kind of your thing?
We do Cyvex and Motec.
Cyvex, we could send the space shuttle to the moon on, though. It's the most complicated ECU I've ever seen.
They are pretty complicated.
Yeah, they're pretty, definitely above my pay grade anyway. But we would, or I have done this in the past, obviously not on something like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. I've ran a pretty, like, I don't E-manage ECU just to control injectors and stuff. Is that something
That's
that
basically
you've done?
just a piggyback
Yeah,
system.
exactly, yeah.
It's the
It'd
same
be a lot
thing
like
as,
an M800.
yeah. Thing with like your project is going to be all the wiring and intricacy of it, because like, you know, you got to get a pin out for everything,
Yep.
then you got to find all your wires, and then you got to build a harness for it, and you got to, you know, just do stuff like that. Then you're going to have to measure out all your harnesses to, you know, let them roll in there nicely and
Yep.
not look like a rat's nest.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
That one's going to be
It's
That'd be a
that's
job.
time consuming.
So are we talking about getting it done before 2021?
if you're doing the factory ECU stuff, I'm sure we can figure something out for you way before that. I would do that first,
I was
see
gonna
how,
ask you,
see
so-
if it works.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then go a different route. But I would do that first. At least let him drive the car
Yeah.
and see.
And realize that he's either A, going to break the motor, or else the motor's not super happy on the factory ECU, and then
Because it's gonna take a lot. I mean, most of your money in this project is gonna be labor. I mean, the labor on doing that.
He's already aware of that situation. We're north on 200 hours already, like into actually building the headers and whole side of the turbo. And that
How
kind
do
of
your
stuff.
projects work? Do you just get one car in and you just try to work on it until it's done?
Our shop, well, not exactly my shop, but I'll speak for myself and Aaron. The shop is not exactly open door. We don't really do customer stuff. It typically revolves around his racing, my racing, TV projects and stuff. And Aaron is kind of interested in projects that are typically dumb and don't really make sense. And that's how this Ferrari ended up in there. It was like, you really shouldn't do that. It's a bad idea. So let's bring it in and do it. You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah, we're kind of into doing stuff that not really everybody wants to do, and seeing what we can kind of figure out and be like the first or whatever, you know. So
We're not lucky enough to be able to just concentrate on one vehicle at a time.
Yeah,
because we have a whole other side of the shop where more cars are.
Really?
Yeah.
We're very fortunate, I suppose, in how our business model has allowed us to actually work. That
Concentrate on one car at a time.
exactly, and it's generally always on the race program. I'm at racing now for 16 years, and it's solely been like just on the car I'm racing at the time. Obviously, with COVID at the moment, things are a little bit different, so we have
Yeah.
a little bit more scope in what
Yeah.
we can do. So this has been an interesting project so far. Been challenging, but it's been fun.
That's cool. It's kind of how the Aventador is for us. It's a slow project, but it's
Yeah.
the first one we're doing with a fully built motor. So
Yeah, we're kind of in the same situation as you. It's like you see everything before you like unbolt it, and it looks like, yeah, you know, I know this is out to run here. This is where the headers are going to go. And then when you really start getting into it, you start seeing the problems of, oh, this is why you can't do that or whatever, and it just starts eating up man hours at that time. So
Yeah.
the joys of trying to do everything first, I suppose. You know.
Yeah.
Research and development.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
R&D is a pain and it's very expensive.
Yep. So you have a pretty amazing shop here, though, boys. Can we
Thank you.
check it out?
Yeah, I'll show you the dyno room and all that good stuff.
Thank you very much, Thomas.
Most of our customers are half-mile guys.
Okay.
So, but this is David's actual setup for his drag setup. And we run our own billet control arms and
Yep.
drag brakes for this setup.
Do you build them all in house? Yeah.
Yep. hmm We have our full
Have you
CNC
asked?
department.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, we
Oh,
have
I see it over there. Yeah.
we have a 5-axis and a 3-axis and a CNC lathe. So we make our own blocks in house. We have our own billet blocks.
So, I tell you, you're going to know this guy. I called an engine builder here, and his answering machine was, "If I didn't answer the phone, I don't need any of your business, so goodbye." I'm sure you know what that is, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Watts actually built my motor in the Viper, and I was over, I was like, "Who owns all these fucking little blocks?" And he goes, "Oh, that's out of the Dallas Performance." But I didn't actually realize that you made them all in-house yourselves.
Yeah, we make them in house.
Wow.
We also do. That's you. You're singing right now.
I have no idea how that came on. It's a good-looking car was on the screen. Now you might have seen my new livery, actually.
That's awesome. But yeah, we make our own billet blocks in house.
How much is one of those
So
typically run for?
for a short block, it's 100,000.
So I'm asking a question because Dave, the other half of DDE, is after buying a Hurricane that he says he's going to make 2,000 horsepower in daily drive. I think he's probably too soft to really drive anything that makes a lot of power. But I know he's currently shopping at the moment for something that's going to make well north of 1,000 horsepower. So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think they want 2,000 horsepower
Until you really
they
drive one.
experience 2,000 horsepower.
So I've driven 1,600 horsepower and it is completely unusable. It is absolute suicide dangerous. But it's a nice thing to brag about, but I think it's ridiculous. And it's
So David, the guy, he's actually walking around here somewhere. He's in a green shirt, but he has a 2,000 horsepower Huracan we built him, and he also has his 720S.
Yep.
His 720S makes like 900, and it's actually a lot of fun to drive. But the Lambo never sees more than 1350 unless it's at an event.
So I was going to ask you, what's your typical kind of driving around town number on these cars?
1350.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can make 1,500, 1,600 on the street pretty easily and still hook decent, but at the end of the day, like, there's not really much on the street you're going to come up against and you can't beat with 1350.
Yep. Yep.
So,
And are you typically hell bent on race gas or E85, or what way do you normally choose stuff?
we normally do a little bit of both, actually.
Yeah.
So anything that's below 1350 normally gets pump E85, flex fuel,
Yep.
Cyvex.
And is that what you think we could probably do on Ferrari?
If you went standalone. So you
If we
can't
went
really
standalone.
do flex fuel on a M800 piggyback setup.
Yep.
You could, it would just require a lot more. I would suggest going standalone for sure at that point. But as far as everything else goes, I would say, I mean, you're gonna reach the maximum potential of that setup with that compression and everything
Yep.
on a factory ECU.
Yep. Yep.
So once you get to where he's wanting to actually build a motor and set it up for more power, at that point, then it would be time to go standalone.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to be able to make more than 6 pounds of boost on that much compression.
So we figured just from doing the numbers, if we can make 6, like 6 is our target, but we're happy if we make 4. But if we can get to 6, I think we're going to be north of 1,000 because it's 730 horsepower from the factory. or
But have you
whatever.
dynoed it?
No, I haven't, but I had the luxury of driving, well, luxury and misery of driving it from Seattle to Dallas about 2 months ago. And look, I drive a lot of fast cars, and I can tell you it's every bit of 700 horsepower. Like, and now that's at the flywheel, obviously not at the wheels.
Yeah.
But it's every bit of it. Like it's sharp, it pulls like a train. It's all there, you know.
Yeah, we've done 4 F12s. The same guy that owns those cars, he buys things normally in 3 or 4s at
Yep.
a time, and he did.
Can I?
Yeah.
Let me meet this guy. We can hang out and go for beers. Maybe I
did.
can drive one of his cars.
Yeah, he did 4 F12s, brought them to us, and we did 4 sets of exhausts, 4 tunes, and 4 intakes, and they
were all different.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they were all different by about 20 horsepower.
So I kind of put that down to like what we call coach built motors, like and built. It all depends what way they lap the valves, whatever, can change massively, especially over 12 cylinders on a car as well.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
so you can have a massive amount of variation. I would say the F12's putting 600 on the pavement, I'd say is what it's actually doing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it just depends. Every dyno is going to be different
Of course.
too. So that's the biggest difference. People are like, "What do you mean it didn't make 600?" Well, you might take it to someone else's
of
dyno.
course,
and
yeah,
it might.
absolutely. And like what people probably don't understand as well with the dynos is it's so easy to manipulate the
Manipulate,
actual number. You know, you can change the gear ratio, anything like that.
Change tire pressure.
Exactly, and you change the number by 10% on the dyno, and guys are like, "Yeah, we're making 1,000 horsepower," when they're actually making 850. You know.
Yeah, and is it SAE? Is it standard? Is it?
Yep.
How hot is it outside?
Absolutely,
What's
yeah,
the
yeah.
ambient temperature?
So,
Yeah, there's
well,
all
like,
kinds of ones.
I feel we can probably get this F12 to maybe put like between 820, 840 on the ground on 6 pounds boost. We're using a precision 62, 66s.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. And they have a 0.82 AR on them. So
Yeah.
So-
So on a factory ECU, Huracans normally put down around 740 wheel
yep,
on 93 pump gas.
yep,
And then above that we do stage 2, which is either piggyback if you go stage 2,
Yep.
and then stage 2 plus is standalone with the factory. We can make 1100 wheel on the stock motor with just
stock
a
motor,
standalone.
stock pistons and rods.
Yep.
How about like, do you change head gaskets?
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
It makes that, yeah.
Yeah, make 1100 on E85.
Pretty tough motor,
Yeah.
to be fair.
On all the LP and aboves you can. The 5 liters you're making 600 and then you're gonna change your block.
Yeah. So,
The 5 liters aren't very reliable as far as that goes.
very good. Well, I'd love to invite you over to our shop if you ever get a chance to come over. You can see what we're doing with the F12 and have maybe a better understanding of whereabouts we're at, like, and what we're going to be up against. And hopefully we can get it back over here on your dyno and get you boys to hang your hat on it and say that you done it.
Yep.
Absolute pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's great meeting you.
Absolutely amazing shop, and I'm sure we're going to be in touch a lot more over the coming weeks.
Yeah, for sure.